So, this is another fanfiction idea I had, and this was kind of, it's not so much a crossover, but more like its own thing. It was more of a Teen Titans fanfiction that I've always kind of had stewing around in my head, but I never really got it out because it's, again, kind of a little too big for me. So, but yeah, this is set in the Teen Titans animated series universe. This is a story centered around Kid Flash. And basically what it is kind of a animated universe take on Wally West becoming the Flash. And yeah, so this story is pretty much centered around Wally and Jinx, who have been kind of a superhero pair for the Titans. And Wally gets a call finding out that, yeah, after he left, there was a battle between Barry and Thawne. And they both vanished within the Speed Force. They're both gone. Thawne and Barry are gone, they're presumed dead, and Wally needs to come back. And Wally's kind of mad at himself because he kind of just left to be his own thing. He didn't want to be in Barry's shadow, but he's now he's just really guilt-ridden that, had he been there, he could have helped stop, Thawne. He could have helped stop, the Reverse Flash, and maybe his uncle would still be around. And this is where Jinx would discover that, yeah, at this point I would have it that, yeah, she knows that Kid Flash is really Wally West. This is where Wally reveals, yeah, I wasn't just the Flash's partner, I was the Flash's nephew. So that would be the thing, is that Wally would reveal that to her, and he's like, oh my god, you never told me that, but oh my god, I'm so glad you didn't, because if anyone found out, yeah, people would go nuts. So yeah, and she understands that, yeah, your uncle was just killed, so yeah, you need to go back to Central City to, be with your family. So Wally and Jinx return, and it's utter chaos in Central City, because with the Flash gone, the Rogues are in total control. The Rogues are out in advance, they are they are in full swing of things. However, they kind of understand that, yeah, when Kid Flash returns, Captain Cole and the Rogues are kind of like, look, we're really sorry about, the Flash. We miss him too. No one understood us better than him. So, but we've got, we're not going to let this opportunity. On the other hand, though, we're not going to let this opportunity, slip away. So, sorry, dude. So they're pretty much like, look, we know that, we know you're hurting, but having said that, though, we gotta look out for ourselves. We gotta look out for our own. But in any case, so that was kind of it. So yeah, it's also in here that, that Kid Flash is not the only Flash in Central City. Since Barry, disappeared, he's dead, he's part of the Speed Force or whatever, Jay has returned. Jay Garrick has returned, and Jay and Wally are working together to kind of protect Central City. So, and you're probably thinking, yeah, this sounds a lot like that episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold that was written by Greg Weisman. Yeah, that's no joke. Greg Weisman wrote that, before he did Young Justice, Greg Weisman wrote an episode of Brave and the Bold that a lot of this idea came from, where Barry and Reverse Flash disappeared, they're presumed dead, and Batman is along teaming up with Jay and Wally to find out what happened. So yeah, it's a great Flash story too. It's a really cool Flash story, and I think I would love, side note, I'd really love to see Greg Weisman, not so much do his story in the Young Justice universe, but I'd really love to see him do a Flash cartoon. It's very clear he loves the Flash family, especially when you see in Young Justice. There's so many great Flash-centric episodes centered around Wally and a little bit of Barry as well. So, oh, man, like I was saying, anyway, getting back to what I was saying, yeah, that was kind of the big inspiration for this kind of story. But instead of Batman, it's Jinx who is alongside Wally and Jay. And Jay doesn't really trust Jinx because he knows what she's capable of and knows that, yeah, you were part of the Hive, you're a goddamn terrorist is what you are. You're, you're a thief, and I know Wally trusts you, and for now, that's enough for me, but if you slip up, I'm gonna beat your ass. So Jinx really has to prove herself to Jay Garrick, It's so, and even like I even had it that like Jinx is really like, oh my god, it's the original Flash, a member of the Justice Society. I know I'm a former villain, but even when I was a villain, I thought you guys were awesome. So she's like in total awe that she's in the presence of the original, a member of the Justice Society. But yeah, Jay is very watchful of her, and he's even like to Wally, he's like, look, I know you and Barry saw the good in everyone, but really, she is just bad luck, literally. So that's kind of the thing, is that, you know, Jinx throughout the story would have to prove herself to Jay. But yeah, throughout the story, I kind of had it that, yeah, you know, Jinx, Wally, and Jay would have to encounter each of the rogues. Of course, like Captain Boomerang, the Trickster, Weather Wizard, Captain Cold, Heatwave, and even the other lesser ones, like the Thinker and, you know, Gridlock. Not Gridlock, what was his name? It was something. Tar Pit, and there was another one. There was like a metal one. There was a total metal one. I'm forgetting. I always called him Gridlock for some reason. Ironclad. No, that's Marvel. I'm forgetting that. You see, this is why the story didn't work out, because I forgot of several of the Flash villains' names. So yeah, there was also Murmur was going to be in this story, but yeah, a lot of the Flash villains are now kind of like running amok. And even though a lot, you know, the rogues are like, we understand, there are other Flash villains out there who are like, oh, you know, the Flash is dead, good fucking riddance. So, you know, all you gotta do is take on a, you know, old man Flash and Kid Flash and a former villain. Oh my god, this is gonna be easy. So that was kind of the thing, was that, you know, this was going to be like a big Flash villain thing. There was also, I had an interest, since this was like a, you know, its own little thing, I also had this idea for this universe, you know, this DC animated universe's version of Hunter Zolomon, Zoom. Basically, yeah, Zoom is the same age as Wally. Hunter Zolomon, as if you guys remember, in the Wally West era of the Flash, Hunter Zolomon was like a friend to Wally. He was a longtime friend to Wally, and they had there was some trouble, and eventually, yeah, he became what he is now. And yeah, he basically, in this story, he's like he's trying to frame Wally, because now he's gotten the power of Zoom. He is like a young Zoom, and he's trying to frame Wally for, you know, several murders. But yeah, and the whole thing throughout that little story arc is that, yeah, and even Jay's like, look, I'm not saying you did it on your own. What I'm saying is, I think Jinx probably put a spell on you or some shit, and is making you do this. So, and you don't even realize it. So that kind of puts some friction between Jay and Wally and Jinx, that all three of them are kind of at each other's throats because of Zoom's interference throughout this story. But yeah, like Cobalt Blue. I really wanted to use Cobalt Blue in here, but I couldn't think of any good idea for him. There was also, of course, I really wanted to do a story with Grodd, because it's goddamn Gorilla Grodd. Anyway, but yeah, that was kind of the whole story in a nutshell, where it is a story of Wally trying to find his place in the world, where Jinx is also trying to find her place in the world. Because, yeah, she is still coming from that whole former villain thing, and she's like, yeah, I stood with the Teen Titans against the Brotherhood of Evil, I helped Wally, I helped the Titans, but yet I still feel like I'm in this rut, because I am still having, that stigma is still following me around. So that would be the thing, is that, you know, she's not trying to just prove herself to Jinx, but to to even herself and the people around her. Because even Iris I even wanted to have it that Iris was like, yeah, no nephew of mine is going to date, you. So, Wally defends her a lot of the time, but yeah, Jinx is fighting an uphill battle against, the Allens, and the rest of the West family, because they realize, yeah, you're a former villain and you could easily slip back. I know Wally and Barry really want to see the good in everybody, but there could be no good in you to begin with. This could all be for all we know, this is some kind of game that you're playing. I even wanted to have Max Mercury in here. I really wanted to have Max Mercury in here, even Jesse Quick, but not like in the, not the Jesse Quick from the CW era, like the Jesse Quick we know, and like I said, the Max Mercury we know, and even Black Flash. But even, like I said, even the Black Flash, of course, like the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force, basically. But like I said, there were so many ideas I just couldn't get them out there, you know. But the end game was, at the end of it all, Wally goes into the Speed Force thinking that, you know, Barry's still in there, but his body has become part of the Speed Force, because in this story, in this little storyline, because it's, again, an alternate universe, in this story, Eobard and Barry trapped Eobard in the Speed Force, and their bodies broke apart, and they became part of the Speed Force. And Wally uses the cosmic treadmill to try to save Barry, but Barry's like, no, I can't come back. You know, I cannot. I physically cannot come back. And he's like, and Wally's like, look, we need the Flash. And Barry just tells him, they have a Flash. It's you. So the end game of the story is that Wally stops being Kid Flash and becomes he becomes the next Flash. So that was kind of the story in a nutshell, anyway. So there you go, guys. That, like I said, it was kind of a really big story, honestly. It was just a really huge story. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below. What do you guys think of this? Do you guys like this story? Do you guys hate it? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this. And just let me know, like, what kind of character, if you could do a story like this, how would you go about it in the Teen Titans animated universe, mind you. But once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.